Welcome to TokyoFM. As the United States remains focusing on their efforts towards indicting former President Trump, countries to the east begin its efforts to dethrone the US dollar, switching to alternative currencies, most notably the Chinese yuan. In the past, China has struggled to become a superpower it had wished to be. With countries like the US, China had retained itself behind the sleeping giant's shadow. But with most of their recent deals with Russia and Saudi Arabia regarding the alternative use for the Chinese yuan, the global financial markets look to change significantly if more countries begin to weigh in on the idea. With the war raging on in Ukraine, due to Putin being heavily involved in with the oil markets with the US and its allies, the US sanctioned Russia heavily, causing both sides to feel damage financially, with both countries dealing with heavy inflation and supply chain issues. Because of those sanctions, Russia needed a backup plan if those said issues were to progressively become more serious. Thus, Putin addressed China and began using the Chinese yuan to help store oil riches to keep its worth and value up. Russian officials began selling the yuan around January to help plug its widening budget deficit from the war in Ukraine. Many Russian households are now starting investing into the yuan, and because of this change, ties between China and Russia has deepened further, growing closer because of their shared discontent with the West, said the Wall Street Journal. For a long time now, China has since pushed the yuan to global markets to help increase its value in and out of commerce and global supply chains. Of course, Russia hasn't been fully invested to the yuan, sharing concerns over how much they control over their own economy. But with the change, saw Russian exports rose nearly 14%, paid purely by the Chinese yuan, up to 0.4% to where it was before the war. Now, knowing this, Russia's change to the yuan doesn't ultimately end the use of the US dollar, but it would rather usher a more fragile economic system that will blunt the US to use financial sanctions as a weapon against countries, which could allow more economic freedom and flexibility for other countries to benefit off, which many are looking into, like Saudi Arabia and India, to name a few. In more recent news, the Pentagon had a breach with classified documents being leaked out to the internet by 21-year-old airman named Jack Teixeira, who at the time had top secret security clearance and began posting classified documents since December 2022 to a Discord server he supposedly owned called Thug Shaker Central. According to CNN, the classified documents contained information regarding key allies and associates and assessments on the Ukraine war. These documents were of course confiscated, and Jack was detained by the military by gunpoint at his residence, where thereafter he was tried for espionage and exposing classified documents. This was the biggest leak of information in the Pentagon's history.
TokyoFM.